Today we're going to be making some quick, cheap, fast rocks. These rocks, you can make tons of them at once. You can make them big, small, whatever you want. And all we need for this is some mortar, some water, some paint. And basically what we're going to do with this is get a bowl, get the mortar, and pour it in. Again, you can do as much as you want. If you want to do a little batch, a big batch. We're going to add the water in. And don't add too much. If you do, don't be too worried. You can always add more mortar, but we're basically going to mix it. We're going to mix it so that we end up with a consistency kind of like dough. So first things first here, you want to use gloves too. You don't want mortar on your bare hands. It's corrosive. Don't do that, but you're going to want to be able to ball it up and basically have a snowball with it, and you don't want to stick it to your hands. Take some parchment, newspaper, whatever you have lying around, and slap some rocks down. And I didn't do it here, but you can even add little platforms on this and make just whatever cool landforms you want. And then here I am just flattening out the edges so there's no little small pieces that are going to break off. Then we're going to take a tinfoil ball, and because our fingers are round and rocks aren't always round, we're just going to kind of smush the rock and smush whatever looks too curved to you, and just give it a little more texture. Then quickly flatten out your parchment paper so as these dry, they don't dry curved. And I left my rocks overnight. Come back the next day and just break off any little small pieces hanging around the edges. They might break off easily later when you're playing with them. Just pre-break them off now. So we got our rocks, and time to make them a little more interesting. We're just gonna get our black paint, regular, any plain old black paint. And we're gonna put a good chunk just into this cup here. We're gonna add some water to thin it out. Thinning it out does two things. It helps us get into the cracks and crevices better of the rock, and it just helps our paint last longer. So we are just gonna go around now and spread it all over these rocks, and we're gonna just make them all black. So we have our black rocks. That's the base coat done, and now we're just going to take the same black that we were using, and we're going to mix some white into it, and we're going to make a gray. And this can be a darker gray, a lighter gray. It's a little light, that's okay. Darker is good too. We're going to be darkening down the gray in a second. You're going to see. So we're just going to take our brush, and we're going to try to get a good chunk of the paint out. It's better to do this on a paper towel. I just didn't have one hanging around at the time. And we're going to just heavily dry brush the rocks. Give it a good coat, but we want to see the black showing through. So we're just going to do that. You can always blow dry the rocks too if you're impatient like me. And now we're just going to take a little black paint, and we're going to add a good chunk of water in. And what we're doing here is we're just making our own wash. This isn't the best way to make a wash, but it is the cheapest, and it gives a decent result without getting fancy. And so we're going to make sure it's watered down. Watered down enough so that we see the gray coming through. And I put a wash on here, but I end up putting another wash on, as you're going to see later. I wasn't too pleased with how this wash turned out. You want it a little darker than this, but you're going to see that in a second anyways. But I just go around and give the rocks a wash now. Now is just to add some coloration. Got some yellow. Any yellow will do. add that in the cup. And then we're going to take a little brown too, and we're basically just going to make a beige. And we're going to do the same thing here where we make it into a wash. We're going to take this wash and we're going to dab it around the rocks, because all rocks are not just gray. There are lots of colors, but yellow is a good one. Makes the rocks look more lifelike, and we're just going to dab it around, no particular order, just kind of at random. We're going to take the wash again, and we're just going to kind of blend the yellow in. So rather than it being harsh, we're just going to blend it in. It becomes more subtle. And then here is where I basically make a darker wash, and you're gonna see kind of what is the best result at the end. But you can see the rocks look much darker. It's really bringing the gray down, but you can see the gray comes through still. You can even add yellow back in at this point if you want. Make them more yellow again and blend, but you can see here the gray is still showing through. It's dark, but the gray is showing through. So you're gonna end up with these darker rocks. And then this is where we bring the rocks to life even more. We're gonna make a similar gray to maybe the one that we had as the base, and all we're gonna do is just dry brush kind of the topmost points of the rocks. You can go all the way around if you want to. It's not gonna make the rock look bad. And all we're going to do now is add a little more white, and a little more white each time. So we're going to take a little more white, add into our gray that we just had, highlight it again, just the topmost points. And we're going to add a little more white, and we're going to highlight it again. And you can do this 3-4 times, makes a good result, but those are the rocks. That's our basic rock. These rocks aren't going to win any competition, but you can make a whack load of them in half an hour to an hour. You can just make tons. But we're going to spice them up even a little more, and this is maybe a little more intermediate. You might have flocking. This is called flocking, hanging around. And if you do, this is where we add some moss. All we're going to do is we're going to take the flocking. This is the blended turf but with Xenix. We're going to take some PVA glue. That's all that was. Add some water in. I'm going to mix it up. So it's a sticky consistency. We don't want it to be really clumping or falling off the brush, but we want it to spread kind of like a paste. And again, all we're going to do here is literally just take it and slap it on. There's no art form to this. It's a rock, but once this dries, it's going to look like moss. Very simple. So you can take this, you can just do a few of the rocks, all the rocks, whatever you want. Let that dry, and those are the rocks. Let me know if you think they're great. Let me know if you think they're garbage. And remember guys to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.